My name is Mama Vio Sawaje. Thanks for joining us. Now, hundreds of soldiers have been deployed from Burma camp here in Accra to start a nationwide disinfection exercise in an effort to halt the spread of the coronavirus. The exercise it begins in the Greater Accra region. Today will be extended to other parts of the country. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, attended the deployment which took place in the early hours of this morning and came through with this report.
At Burma camp, where hundreds of soldiers are being deployed to our markets, starting from Greater Accra region, to try and disinfect those markets and ensure that we halt the spread of the coronavirus disease in our country. So far, 24 persons have been infected and 1 person has already died out of this, and the government is leaving no stone unturned. They're trying to undertake this exercise to ensure that they bring the situation under control. So also behind me, another set of personnel drawn from Zoom Lion to try and support the military officers who will be on the ground to disinfect our markets across Ghana. It starts this morning in Greater Accra region.
I am Brigadier General Nsia, the General Officer commanding the Southern Command of the Ghana Army.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us why you've brought so many military men here today?
The soldiers are here because we have to rise up to the occasion when our services are required by this country of ours.
What is the occasion?
The occasion is for a nationwide fumigation exercise to disinfect our markets. And we are commencing with Greater Accra region. So this morning, we marshaled the forces that we have in partnership with a Zoom Lion group of companies to undertake this important exercise within the Greater Accra region.
How many men are you putting out on this?
We are close to 500 soldiers. Close to 500 soldiers.
I see. And what exactly would they be doing on the field?
A lot of duties. First of all, the gang that are doing the disinfestation and spraying, they will need close protection. So we have soldiers detailed specifically to protect them. Secondly, we know that once the market is closed, some miscreants may take advantage of the situation to break into the markets. So we have soldiers also patrolling the market to ward off any would-be criminal who may want to take advantage of the situation. Apart from that, we have other soldiers who are strategically deployed at certain locations to monitor what is happening and give us feedback so that if there's any need to reinforce, we do it. So this is basically what we are going to do, to make sure that first, the fumigation exercise goes on smoothly, and secondly, nobody take undue advantage of the situation to break into the markets to cause any criminality and break the heart of people who have put their wares in the market and they are obeying the instruction to vacate the market for the market to be fumigated. We want to assure them that nothing of this will be stolen by anybody. We are going to ensure tight security for the market.
And if you have any message for your hundreds of men you are deploying and the nation at large?
The soldiers, they should remember that the whole country is behind them. This is a very important national exercise, and we are not going to let ourselves down. The whole country is looking up to us, and we are going to deliver to assure our Ghanaians that the trust that they put in us is not misplaced. What is left is the execution. And I know by your hard work and dedication and professionalism, you are not going to lose your gas and let yourself down. Go out there and behave professionally the way we have briefed you and the way we expect of you.
We shall be with you in the field. We shall visit you at every corner that you find yourself. Remember, you are not working alone. You belong to a proud army. You belong to a proud organization. Your leaders are with you. Your sole leaders are with you. The whole nation is behind you. Go and do a professional job and bring pride to yourselves and our army and our armed force. Everything has been arranged. There's nothing to worry about. I wish you well, and we shall be with you in the field. May the good Lord be with all of you. Thank you very much.
And this was very early this morning at Bema Camp. The exercise is being held simultaneously in at least 1,000 market centers across the country. That's from one of the centers in Tema. That's where my colleague Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson is reporting from. Mamiesi, you are in the Tema area and the chemicals for spraying arrived just about 8:30 a.m. What is the status of work now?
Thanks, Mama V. We're still here at the TMA office, but what has changed is that the sprayers have come in, the military guys have come in, and so they are being deployed to the various markets. At the moment, some have left to Community 9 market, some too have left to Newtown. But then at Community 1, where the major spraying will be taking place, the sprayers are now putting together the equipment and then the chemicals. I also understand that a drone will be spraying over the bus terminal where most of the buses leave here to Accra and other areas. So we're waiting for them to move, and then we can join them.
So my colleague Mamiesi Thompson there reporting from Tema Community 9 Market and Newtown. Well, already the spraying exercise is going on, but the major one is expected at the Community 1 market. That's yet to begin. According to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, this exercise is to help enhance the conditions of hygiene in markets in the wake of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Let's go on Skype now and let's speak to my colleague who's covering Ablikuma Central area. Well, before then, we'll listen to the MC of Tema.
Interested in why we have delayed. We are supposed to start at 6 a.m. and as of now, we are now receiving the items. You can see to yourself the items delayed. I was with the soldiers since 4:30. Everybody is ready, but the items really delayed. Now the item has arrived. The soldiers are also around. So we are moving immediately to start the fumigation. We are starting from the Community 1 market, which is the biggest central market in Tema. From there, we'll move to Tema Newtown, which is the second biggest. Then we'll come to the fishing harbor. From there, we'll move to Community 9, we'll proceed to Community 8 and Community 7, and maybe wrap up at Community 4 to make sure we have captured the entire market within Tema.
Well, let's go on the phones now and speak to my colleague Justice Bedu, who is covering the Ablikuma Central area. Justice, where exactly are you and what can you report?
So we are currently inside the onion market here in the Abuklosi area, where staff from the Ministry for Sanitation and local assemblies have all been working since morning to put themselves together to begin this massive program that they just brought in drones, which they will be using for the spraying exercise, and we are just about hitting in all respects for the drones to go up, and the market itself, which is on an any day very, very busy with activity and brisk business, is all but dead today, Mama.
Okay, Justice, will leave it here. Return to you when the exercise itself gets underway. So that's Justice Bedu reporting from the main onion market. The Tiptoe Lane monitoring is where Hannah Odami is. She joins us with some update. Hannah, what's been happening on the Tiptoe Lane?
Hi, currently at the Malamata Market, and it's in the Ayawaso Central constituency.
Your call has been put on hold. Your call has been put on hold. Please wait.
So apologies there, we lost the connection to Hannah Odame, who's reporting from the Ayawaso Central, but fortunately she's back. Hannah, we saw the men, carrying out the spraying exercise in the Malamata market. Where else have you been?
No, we are currently here at Malamata because that's where we started from. We're waiting for the chemicals to come for us to spray. So we have just started with Malamata market. From here, we'll go to Alajo market. We'll go to Tiptoe Lane, we'll go to Kaukudi, and these are we have another market to go. So in all, for us, our team, we are visiting 6 markets here in Accra. We have 32 personnel from Zoom Lion, and together with some personnel from the constituency, from the municipal assembly, and from the local government ministry, they all sum up to 119 personnel, and together we'll be spraying 6 markets. So as you stated earlier, we are at Malamata. The team is yet to finish, and then we'll move to Alajo, Tiptoe, and then we'll be done.
Have you seen any of the market women or, people attempting to come to the market today as you've been there?
Not at all, Mavi. They are all cooperating, and the MCE was very, very happy about it. Everybody has closed their shops. They are even excited about the fact that the market is being disinfected, because they said they haven't seen that in a while. I mean, their markets have never been disinfected, so they are really excited. Pockets of them have come out from their rooms to just turn around and watch and see how the spraying is ongoing, but they've been asked to move away because of the effect of the chemicals. But some, as you would know, are still around, and they still want to see exactly how the operation and the exercise is ongoing. So they are still around watching. And as and when we move on to other markets, we'll bring you updates.
Very well. That's Hannah Odame visiting 6 market. What you've seen now is the first, which is the Malamata market. 6 market, 119 personnel carrying out this exercise. Let's cross over and go back to the Agbogbloshie area. That's where my colleague Nancy Emefa Jiradosi is reporting from. Nancy, what more can you tell us?
Mother.
Well, we'll be connecting with Nancy Emefa Jiradosi in a bit. She's been reporting from the Agbogbloshie main market all morning. We're getting back to see what's new with this disinfection exercise. And Nancy Emefa Jiradosi, if you can hear me, what can you report?
Oh, I'm saying that my cameraman is not with me.
Okay, Nancy Emefa Jiradosi is not exactly ready for us, so we will take some other report and come back to Nancy Emefa Jiradosi, who is reporting from Agbogbloshie. So this exercise is being held simultaneously in at least 1,000 market centers across the country. Let's see if Nancy can hear me now and she can report for us. Nancy, where exactly are you and what can you report? Nancy, if you can hear me, what can you report? Okay.
Market, and you can see that the Zoom Lion folks that sprayed the market a few minutes ago are done. In fact, I just finished an interview with the environmental officer here for the market, for the Mala market, and he tells me that they have made enough provisions and make sure that the market is decongested. In fact, they took us to a site, so they're constructing about 40 sheds at the Mala market. They say that that's going to help them to to discourage the arrangements in the market. And so the people here at Mala Market who have complied. In fact, nobody is here. All I can go to, I met a few people. So, come to the market to see around their group here. You basically see nobody. All you see are people with the green and the blue, just to indicate that they are ready to roll, just to show that they are doing their job. In fact, when we got here, they told us that they had done a greater part of the disinfection. What we just witnessed was the second part of it. And so you see them still fixing their spraying machine, getting ready to the last part over here. And then briefly, we'll be going to the Odoko lorry station because we understand that another badge is there. The group here, wearing this green, are from Zoom Lion. Unlike here, the Agbogbloshie people were from the National Anti-Malaria Control Program, and these people are from Zoom Lion, and they are coming from all the regions. Some of them are from Oda, some of them are from Montessim, and they said it's supposed to be a nationwide something, and so they were all asked to assemble here. And so you hear the noise in the background, the machines that have been started, and the rest of the team that are here, if they go inside to shoot the artists for the other part of the market. But from here, we're going to Dakuman and we're going to Odoko, and we'll bring you the shot and how it's happening there, whether or not they are acting. So that people have also complied. That's an opening, what's that saying?
Open my anointing.
Open my anointing?
Yeah, Mr. Manchester.
And open my anointing to one about it.
I'm not a shabby. Never got a few years. I'm going to be able to
Okay.
Anointing.
Okay, so anointing is one of the persons from Zoom Lion. And in fact, that's why we're all telling you how excited they are about the job because, it's for the good of the nation. So what he tells, we tell you that the traders, the people who are spraying, the MCEs, the military men around are already enforced to ensure that this exercise is fruitful. And they tell me that what was contained here is the chlorine that is meant to fight the bacteria and also viruses. So there's a difference between the disinfectants and also one of the disinfestation. And the difference is that one kills the pest and one kills bacteria and viruses. But what they are doing mainly is to kill the viruses and also that of the bacteria. And these people are all just across the country. So please, let's take you. We'll be going live to Odoko and also the Adabaka market.
Ajradosi reporting from the Mala market earlier. She was at the Agbogbloshie market. From the Mala market, the team is going to the Dakuman Odoko area for the same exercise. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba is also on his way to the Kaneshie market. We'll bring you a lot more of the coverage of this disinfection exercise ongoing in major markets in the Greater Accra region in the course of our program. And like we keep saying, we need you all to arrive alive. Now, yesterday, March 22nd, was World Water Day. The commemoration across the globe was drowned, obviously, by COVID-19 pandemic. The theme for this year's World Water Day is about water and climate change and how the two are inextricably linked. Adapting to the water effects of climate change will protect health and save lives. Using water more efficiently will reduce greenhouse gases. Today, our conversation will focus on managing water and sanitation services in the face of rapid urbanization in Accra, a coastal city already threatened by climate change. I'm privileged to be joined by the Executive Director of the Water Resources Commission, Mr. Ben Ampoma, and Mr. Joe Tete Potofe, who is Deputy Director Forecasting at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. But first, we're joined by the Deputy Water and Sanitation Minister, Mr. Patrick Yabuama, on the phone. Good morning to you, sir. My question to you is, how prepared are we as climate change impacts on our water?
Thank you very much. Good morning, and good morning to your listeners. It's an important day in the world when it comes to water and climate change. The two cannot be separated. So it is in that regard that the day when it comes must be observed, looking into what we've been able to do in the water space, the steps that government has taken per the agreement is signed in Paris on the climate change agenda. So it's an important occasion that requires a holistic view of the water situation in the country, our river bodies, the industry, science and tech, and how it affects us globally in the midst of what we are facing globally with this COVID-19 pandemic.
So let's quickly talk about some of the specific investment in this area of water and sanitation. What can you share?
Thank you very much. Government and President Kufuor has shown serious commitment in the sanitation and water space. This is the first time in the history of this country that a dedicated and a focused ministry has been carved out to specifically look at water and sanitation issues. The President placed the Ghana Water Company, Community Water and Sanitation Agency, the Water Resources Commission, Schools of Hygiene under the ministry to monitor, oversee this institution. Investment, one, right under the administration, right, the coming into force of this administration, the President was the first President to secure an additional financing agreement with the World Bank to complete water projects in 6 regions. That project also had a component for the provision of over 20,000 toilet facilities called the Digging Low for rural communities in 6 regions: Central, Western, Bono region, Upper East, Upper West, and the Northern region. The President also cut the sword through his minister for the construction of the Upper East water supply system that will serve a population of over 180,000 people in Navrongo, Paga, Bongo, Bolga, and its environs. The President also has given approval, and Parliament has also approved a loan facility of 31 million euros to provide water for over 500 communities in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, Eastern, and Volta, and plus now OT region. Just a couple of weeks ago, Parliament approved a loan agreement of $90 million, 90 million euros, to supply the entire southern sector of the Volta region under the Keta Water Supply Project. That is going to provide water, potable water, for over 500,000 people within the southern belt of the Volta region. The government under President Akufo-Addo has also committed over 32 million euros to provide the people of Wenty and its environs with water. The President under Nana Akufo-Addo has also committed $272 million through Bywater to construct the Tamale and Damango water supply system to serve a population of over 800,000 people. The Gasly project that is going to improve upon sanitation in the Greater Accra region has funding of over $45 million from the African Development Bank. These are some of the interventions, investments, commitments that the President, through his administration, is putting in place in terms of adequate water supply, clean water supply to every part of the country, and also to support the sanitation agenda in this country.
All right, we'll scrutinize some of the things that you've outlined there in a bit, but for now, we thank you for your time. That's Deputy Water and Sanitation Minister Patrick Yaw-Boamah. Let's come back to the studio. Perhaps I should come straight to you, Mr. Bena Ampoma, Executive Director, Water Resources Commission. You're one of the agencies that the Deputy Minister mentioned in terms of the responsibilities that you've been given to ensure that the investments that that the administration is making in this area is actually seen. So what do we have on the ground?
Thank you very much. In terms of what we have on the ground, I'll focus on the resource.
Okay.
Because that's where our mandate actually, lies. And that is to regulate and manage the country's water resources, both surface and underground. So we're looking at it both in terms of the quality and then the quantity. And now, in terms of quantity, in absolute terms, we shouldn't have a problem. That is the amount that is available as a country. But the issue has to do with the distribution in terms of space and then time. Where is the water, for instance? If you go to the northern regions during the dry seasons and also in terms of time, they have little water, so to speak. But during the wet season or the rainy season, there's quite a number of, the amount of water is quite, enough to do activities that they would want to do. So basically that's what it is. But with respect to quality, that's where the issue is now. Previous times, per our monitoring from 2005 to date, our waters were quite okay with respect to the quality. We do measure, as you rightly mentioned, in terms of monitoring. But for some time, we actually witnessed deterioration in terms of the quality, especially within the southwestern rivers. We have 3 systems. We have the water system, the coastal rivers, and then the southwest, which take about 22% or contribute 22% of our water resources. So if the quality is really degraded, then we have a problem. And of course, we all know that the major cause of that has to do with the illegal mining that we've all been witnessing. So basically, that is what we have with respect to our water resources. Okay,
what kind of role does climate change also play with regards to the quality? And then we'll come to the predictions from Matthew.
But it has an effect both on the quantity and then the quality. For instance, it results in floods and then droughts. Like I did mention, in the dry season, if there's prolonged periods of no rain, then obviously there will not be any water. And then it affects people's health, livelihoods, etc. Also, in terms of floods, and that's where also the quality issue comes in.
Okay.
Yeah, because when it floods, it contaminates both groundwater resources and even the drinking water sources that
we've seen it even washing away toilets.
Precisely. Exactly. Yeah. And obviously, where does it go? It basically goes into the water and then compromises the
So let me just ask you to pause there. Let me go to Mr. Potofi and ask about, in terms of weather today, what are the patterns? What's your reading? What kind of weather are we experiencing?
Thank you very much. To start with, even today is also World Meteorological Day. And that is why we are in collaboration with Water Resources. We are celebrating the day together.
Okay, so that works perfect. So yes. From water to Matthew.
Yes.
Meteorological Day.
And the same team. Our team is water and climate. And their team is water and climate change.
Great. So this is appropriate conversation.
Very well. Very well. Yes. Yes. Weather has become very erratic these days. Erratic in the sense that because of the climate change, predictability of the weather is becoming very, very, very hectic and a cooling task for us. However, we also make sure that at least we enhance and improve on our forecast. Because when we improve on our forecast, there will be the need that at least we'll be able to know if there will be drought here, and then we'll find a possible way of how to mitigate that drought. If there will be flood here, as for the floods, they will come. But if you're able to forecast very well, then it means the authorities must find a way of mitigating that flood. That will also happen. And with the climate change, you are expecting a rainfall of maybe 100 millimeters over an area. But you'll be surprised that it will give you about 300 millimeters of rain. And when it happens like that, it means there's going to be flood. So if we don't forecast very well, for us to put all the necessary things in place, then when the flood comes, we'll be found very, very wanted. So it is very necessary for us to be able to, at least, though there is climate change, we should also find a way, possible way of...
And still get the reading right.
Very well.
Okay. So, you know, before we could say, oh, we're in the dry season, we're in the raining season. These days, it's a bit mixed up. So that's why I asked the question, what kind of weather, or how do we describe what's happening today?
Yes, I don't think the pattern has changed much. What I can say is that there is what we call variability in the pattern. It means when you take maybe 5 years, there might be a time where the rainfall pattern will change. But that doesn't mean that it has changed entirely, but it should fall within the ranges that we are having. And I spoke about the erratic nature of the weather. Because of the erratic nature, you may think, because we may be in January and it still be raining in certain areas. People will say, why? And that is reality. Once the patterns are there, the changes are coming. And I believe that the changes that are coming are all anthropogenic. They are our making. Because we are cutting down forests, those areas that serve as a greenhouse and that enhance our convective rainfalls, we are destroying all those areas. And when you do that, drought will come to those areas. Drought will definitely come to those areas. So it's a matter of we try to enhance, and people must also listen when we give the advice.
Okay. So let's go to the coastal areas, for instance, and the impact that climate change could have on our coastal areas, also bringing into reality what is happening today.
Very well. And when you talk about the coastal area, you realize that at a certain point in time, we have what we call high tides. And when the high tides comes, and the sea becomes very violent, that is where it erodes most of our towns, because our fisher folks love staying closer to the coastal areas. So once there is high tide and there is strong, winds, these towns are washed away. When you look at what is happening in Kita, Adan, and its environs, it's all because of the change that we are having in the weather patterns that is affecting them. So we believe that we just need to adapt. Currently, what we need to do is to adapt to the changes that are coming. So we protect the coastline. We don't allow people to win sand from that place. We try to plant some trees that can hold the soil together and protect the soil together so that it will not be washed away. When we do adaptation, I think we'll all be fine.
So let me ask if we're actually adapting, Ms. Ampoma, the things that he talks about, particularly with the coastal areas. Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah, it depends on the community that you're talking about. And we should also not forget that we have local knowledge and local practices, which are good, which most of the time we tend to overlook.
So local practices such as?
For instance, I'll take some of the things that they do up north. They know that there's going to be drought, for instance. They know that there's going to be flooding. They would want to move away from, where they normally stay during those periods when they anticipate that there's going to be flooding, for instance. They would also want to look at the weather and then plant in terms of the types of crops that they want to do, and then the timing. They are able to look at the weather, see what is going to happen. They have ways of doing that, and then adapt appropriately in terms of the types of crops, and then even when to grow. And it also has to do with the coastal areas. When to go for fishing, for instance, where to put in their settlements and stuff like that. So there are these ways that they have to do. But we also need to look at it in terms of the scientific ways of adaptation, and then combine that, and then see how we can actually make progress on that.
Okay, but as the overall body responsible for water resources management in Ghana, what specifically are we doing so that climate change, because it's not something that we can control, for as long as we continue to do the things that we're not supposed to be doing, what are we doing to mitigate the effect of climate change on our water resources?
Basically, it's like my colleague just said, it has to do with protecting the resources that we have to, as it were, as carbon sinks, really, to reduce the element of greenhouse gas.
So are we deliberately making investments to combat that?
Precisely. That's where we have what we call the buffer zone policy, which is being rolled out to communities and institutions with respect to creating buffers along our water bodies to serve as sinks appropriately. And then also the issue of our wetlands, which of course we don't control them, but they are key that we need actually to protect. Again, we're developing what we call the early warning systems, both for floods and also for drought. We have one for floods though, for the northern regions to, as it were, make people aware of when to expect floods, how to, as it were, respond to the anticipated floods. Okay, and then also using these flood early warning systems and developing risk maps to inform spatial planning. Okay, we are planning, we're building facilities in potentially flood-prone areas, and we are not aware.
Even in the wetlands that you mentioned, we're actually filling those areas and we're building, but we're watching.
So that's what I'm saying, that we're giving out these flood early warning systems to the appropriate authorities that do spatial planning to indicate where people are supposed to do A or B or C.
So is it something that we're yet to do or something that we're doing?
We're doing.
Well,
but it's being done specifically respect to where we have these flooding issues. The northern region is done. And I do know that it's also going to be done for the Greater Accra region, which addresses the issue in terms of the project called the Garrick project. Yeah, it's actually being started to be done.
Okay, so Mr. Potiphar, we talk about the erratic rainfall patterns. What are we to expect? Because when we are now getting into that season proper.
Very well, yeah, very well. I think we came out with the seasonal forecast, and then per the things that we look at, we realize that yes, some areas will get compared to the long-term mean, some areas will get above average rainfall, and some areas will get below average rainfall. So with this in hand, we are able to at least advise the policymakers, our farmers, and everybody, so that if you are in an area where you get below average rainfall, then it means if you had a rainfall amount of about 500 millimeters of rain last year or last 2 years, it's going to reduce. And that will inform you how you'll be able to at least do your cropping. Either you go in for crops that will mature very early, or you go in for crops that can mature and then take maybe, instead of 6 months to mature, you take a crop which will take about 1 year to a crop, depending on the rainfall pattern. So we are able to get those things. And
but can we accurately also depend on the predictions that the Ghana Meteorological Agency would be given? Because you would agree that sometimes people find the predictions questionable.
For now, I can say you have to depend on it, because even if it is questionable, it might not be varied. We've done the validation of the forecast that we've been doing, and at least it's about 80% accurate. And we have something which is 80% accurate. You might not get the actual, for example, if I say it will rain, this area will get 600 millimeters of rain. We don't give 600, we say 400 to 800 millimeters of rain. So when you fall within, I think we have saved our souls. You see, so we always do very well, and we update. We don't just give it the weather and then we just go and sleep. We make sure that we update daily.
So are we expecting more this year?
Yes, we are expecting more, especially with Axim and then Takrade and Ite Barons. We are expecting more rains there. When you get to Upper West, we are expecting below average rainfall. When it gets to the eastern coast, from Accra to Adan, we are expecting below average rainfall. But let me tell you one thing. The resilient level of our cities are becoming very low. When I talk about the resilient level, if you have about, in Accra those days, you have about 150 millimeters of rain before you see any flood. But currently, if you have about 30 millimeters of rain for 2-3 consecutive days, there'll be flood in Accra. So the resilient level of our cities are becoming very, very low. When you take Axim will have about 100 millimeters of rain for 5 days, and there won't be any flood, because the resilient level is very high, just because there are a lot of green grass in the water can percolate, and after percolation before it will run over. But here, everywhere is paved. Everywhere is paved. So when there is rainfall, the time for it to run into our drainage systems takes shorter. Then it gets flooded. So the rains will come, but we have to mitigate and make sure that at least the drainages are clear, things at the waterways are also clear, so that when it rains, it can run into the sea, and then it will avoid the flooding that will be experienced.
Just one last thing to share. Government has more work to do to ensure a basic level of water, sanitation, and hygiene access for all. So, for instance, 19% Ghanaians drink unsafe water. Is the Water Resources Commission aware that there's a good number of Ghanaians who are drinking unsafe water?
Definitely, and I wouldn't dispute that fact. But that is where the investments that are being made seeks to address. That is what you call economic scarcity.
Okay.
But
so
we also have to look at the resource, definitely. It goes hand in hand in terms of the resource, especially in terms of the quantity and the quality, to complement what is being done.
Okay, so do we have, in terms of timelines, to cut this 19% down, for instance?
Well, what I would say is that there are targets to meet with respect to the SDGs. And every country has its own targets and period. So as you go, you actually plan to meet that. Definitely, I know that is the plan to actually address that. What ideally, we should have 100%.
Are you satisfied with the kind of investment that we're making in this area?
Yes, of course, for now, yes. But of course, there's more room for improvement.
All right. Also worrying is the fact that 82% of people do not have decent toilets, and that what it means is that there are a good number of people still openly defecating. Well, we'll have to end our conversation here. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and you enjoy your day. It's your day today.
Thank you.
So enjoy it. All right, stay with us. We've got business coming your way here on Joy News Desk.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to business. My name is Darryl Powell. Pharmaceutical manufacturing firm in Ghana are expected to produce enough sanitizers beginning today, as the Ministry of Finance has waived the value-added tax on alcohol and two other ingredients. This has also prompted the Food and Drugs Authority to approve within 24 hours applications for medical products from all pharmaceutical companies.
We have the health declaration forms, so we give to all the travelers or to passengers to fill. After filling at the upper hour, when you get to the screening point, we have 3 thermal scanners. So as you are passing, it will be picking your temperature. So those who are not aware, they will not know that we are taking their temperature, but the machines are there. So as you pass through,
which we are going to use for producing medicine, we are going to allocate them to produce hand sanitizers.
You state
unfortunately,
your
once
name,
it becomes
your sex,
serious,
date of birth,
and
nationality,
you move
country
into
of
the
departure,
pneumonia level,
then
then you need a real
all
treatment.
Passengers,
those products,
for them to fill.
Some have been banned from
UK.
Land.
So when you get to the
India
screening
is
point,
restricting
they will take your
some
temperature.
material.
So when your temperature is above the
on
threshold,
Monday, we are going to
they will ask you politely
give out
to step aside.
More than 1,000 liters of hand sanitizers
where would that happen?
to be donated and given out to hospitals, clinics, and even to the presidency. Most of the French-speaking countries do not have manufacturing facilities, and we can be providing the services to them. As at now, if you look at infusions, mostly the Ghanaian companies export to most of the French-speaking countries. And that is why we expect government to increase his interest in local manufacturing so that we can make Ghana the hub for West Africa.
After that, we have the non-contact thermometer. So they are going to use this one to take the temperature again.
So they are doing the further screening. This is what we use.
Yes. After passing through the thermal scanner, that is the first machine that will check your temperature. So if it is above the threshold, then we escort you to the holding area, the quarantine room. There we use this one to recheck the temperature again. If it is above the threshold, we have health team here, we have the port health, we have the airport clinic, and we have the ambulance. So quickly, we have a gate open to the tarmac. So when we call the team, then the team will come and pick the traveler or the case to reach hospital.
I see. Is it possible for anybody to be scanned
digital payments? We want to go to the Canadian market as we continue to follow the fumigation
you know, because when you reach where the thermal scanners are, we have a red line. So you stand on the line before you pass. So the moment you cross the red line, the machine will pick your temperature.
Right. So since the outbreak, we've introduced fresh measures, which includes screening or introducing fresh measures for those who are arriving from affected countries. What exactly are the extra measures to check those coming from these areas?
Oh, we have been doing this since 2014 during the Ebola time. So after the screening, it's automatic. Anybody who enter the country will be screened. So it's something we have been doing since Ebola time.
So for instance,
travelers are not aware. The machines are there. So when they are passing, some of them, they are not aware that we are checking their temperature. So when you cross the red line, it will pick your temperature.
we do understand that passengers from China, especially, are being screened or given extra screening. What exactly do you do in that case?
Like I told you, when you fill the health declaration forms and your temperature is above the threshold, it will show on the screen.
So, for instance, if somebody is traveling from, say, the United Kingdom and another